Hello. I'm going to go live. I'm going to explain to you what I do, and I will also tell you the messages that I got from like the signs that I see today. So give me just a moment and I'll explain it for anyone that doesn't know. Oh, come on. Okay. So I'm going to give it just a few minutes while people get in here. So basically, what I do is I've realized that reality, like everything in reality, is a symbol. Like that's basically what reality is. It's made up of symbols. Our subconscious mind filters through information in reality, and then we see symbols. And those symbols are going to be what our subconscious mind allows in. So those symbols also tell me about myself, tell me about reality, tell me how to do things in reality, like because it's all connected. And so what I do is I put myself in this state of mind, which breaks down the boundaries. So if you look at reality or anything around you, say, for instance, I'll give you an example. If you get like a weather notification on your phone, if you look at that weather notification and to you in your mind, it's just a weather notification, then you have a boundary around it. You have a definition around it and what it means. But if you instead were to be in a state where you're wondering what that weather notification means for your life or what it's trying to tell you, it's like you've removed the boundary. And so it breaks it down a little bit. And what that does is it leaves an opening for more meaning and more symbolism to come into your life. So, what I do is I notice things. Now, it's not like I'm going through and picking. I want to notice this. I want to notice that. It's the way it works is you'll see something. It will catch your attention. So it catches like, it's almost like there's an aha moment in your mind. Say for instance, like if you were to pick up a feather and it was a certain color, you'd be like, oh, that's so cool. Like it catches your attention. So, I use my phone a lot because I get lots of notifications on my phone, but I also use my environment. I use the people in my environment, like the signs that they are. Sometimes I use sayings they have on their shirts. There's all kinds of things that you can look at and notice and get these messages from if you wonder what it means. Wondering and being curious is really the huge key. To be in being able to have more meaning in your life, but also it attracts things to you. It's a huge like manifester type thing. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's like turning yourself into a magnet. So what I have done then is so today I've gotten like symbols. So there was the Trojan horse was the first thing I noticed because I think it was on two different videos that weren't related at all. They brought up the Trojan horse, and the Trojan horse, it's it was that wooden horse that they used to be brought into this gated city. As a gift, it was like a trick gift so that soldiers could come out and attack. Okay. Now the other thing that I saw, so when I see anything unusual that catches my attention, I'm like, what does that mean? It was a deformed arowana fish. Now there's just a few of these and then I'm going to get to this video I watched, but this deformed arowana fish, when I looked up what it was like seriously weird looking. It had like one eye over here and it had like a lumpy head and big like lips looking. I don't even know if it was real. Okay. But an arowana fish is real. But, the thing about this though, is that it's known to leap out of the water and catch its prey. So now I've got two different things where there's like a surprise attack. Okay. Now you can think, oh no, like get scared or whatever and think, does that mean that something's going to attack me? Right. Which that could be the case. That does happen in reality, in real life. But it does also mean that you might have to jump out and grab something, like an opportunity. Like you have an opportunity to grab something, okay? So that could also be coming your way. Now, the next thing that I saw was a fire rainbow, and I saw a picture of it, and I didn't know what it was called. I looked it up, and it was called a fire rainbow. It's like it's in a cloud, and it's like halfway circular around, and it's got all the colors, and this is really interesting. So a fire rainbow, it only forms if the sun it has to be 58 degrees above the horizon. And then a fire rainbow forms only in the clouds, and they have to be at 55 degrees above the horizon. Now, the thing is the thing that comes to my mind right away is the clouds. So there is like, you're not able to see clearly. There's a lot of different things that are coming to my mind, so I'm trying to see how to organize them. But this is like the clouds block what's behind it. Also in space, a lot of times when they're trying to look for like black holes and different stars, they can't see them through the stardust, this cloudy stardust. They have to use infrared radiation to be able to see through the clouds. Okay, and so this cloud can represent like an illusion, a pretty illusion. So like the rainbow can be a pretty illusion, right? But also, if you see one, you're really, really lucky. It also can be like something just out of reach, because it can represent like a rainbow, and usually there's like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but this rainbow is like so far up there you can't grab it. Like you can't get to the pot of gold where the pot of gold is. So there's a few different things that this can symbolize. And so as I see these different things, then I sit there and I wonder, how does that apply to my life? And so and you can ask those same questions. When you ask those same questions, you will get answers. You will see answers in your reality. And you can use that to your benefit, because depending on how you question, if your mindset is more in this like curiosity, awe, wonder, and excitement for life, you're going to get answers more in that along those lines. However, if you're scared, you're going to have things come up that are scary for you. But instead of looking at it as like bad or good, the things that come up that are scary or that scare you, it causes you to address your fears. And once you address your fears, you no longer have to be afraid of it. So the other thing about this fire rainbow is that the conditions have to be perfect for you to see it. And one of the first articles that pulled up about it was a picture of a fire rainbow over South Carolina, which I thought was super interesting because I just got back from South Carolina 2 weeks ago myself. And so to me, this is telling me that something there was like that fire rainbow, or I was the fire rainbow. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's something about that area and the fire rainbow. But I'll find out more on that. But this will tie into the next thing that I'm going to tell you about too, because, and this has to do with being able to attract and bring things in your life as well. Hold on, I need a drink. Okay. So a video popped up today called The Impossible Great Repeller Void. And it's by Astrom. And it basically, it says that there's these star clusters, okay? And we're being pulled towards these different, like the universe has different parts of it being pulled towards different star clusters. The only problem is that there is not enough mass in the center of the star cluster to pull it towards that star cluster. Now, before I get too far, the star cluster that's in the center, they didn't know how much mass was in the center of the star cluster. And the reason why they didn't know is because of the cloud, the stardust around it. And if you remember that I had said that there's the cloud with the fire rainbow in the sky. And so that means it looks pretty, but you can't see behind it. So again, there's this cloud around these star clusters. They can't see it but behind it unless they use these infrared radiation telescope things. I don't even know what they're called. But once they did use those infrared radiation telescopes, they saw that there was not enough mass to pull like the Milky Way galaxy towards it. So they're like, what the hell is going on here? Let's see. So our supercluster, the one that the Milky Way is in, is called the Lanakis. I don't know how to say it. Sorry. Lanakis or whatever. Okay. Sorry, I had to move. So before they could use those infrared radiation telescopes to see in the middle of the star cluster, they are looking around at and mapping all of the different clusters around it. So if you think of yourself as you're going to be the Milky Way, okay? They want to know about the Milky Way, but it's hard for them to know about the Milky Way because the Milky Way gets in the way of the Milky Way. And so basically, this is saying to me that you want to know about yourself. What you're looking for is to know about yourself, but you can't know about yourself because your self-bias gets in the way of you knowing about yourself. And so what you're doing is you're looking at everything around you to get to understand yourself. So the situations around you help you understand yourself. The people around you help you understand yourself. The symbols, all of the symbols that I'm telling you about right now, help you understand yourself. The video that I watched helps me understand myself. So I'm helping you understand yourself by you watching me. So this is where we're at right now, okay? And the reason why it's hard for you to see about yourself is because of all of this stardust, okay? Thank you so much for the likes, guys. So it could even be like you've got this stardust around you and you look like a pretty little floating fire rainbow in the sky, okay? Sorry, I think of myself when I say that too, because like, well, I just always do my makeup and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I'm actually getting that too. One of the things that's really coming through is people being really authentic and honest. So what I have realized is that if you're a people pleaser in any way, like I hate the way that a society does things, basically almost everything. But a lot of parents, like when they raise their kids, they say, don't do this. You're supposed to do it this way. Do that this way. Do this. Like they're training them to do things certain ways instead of having them realize things so that they choose to do it certain ways if they want to. And so what this does is it teaches people to fake it, be a fake, put on a mask. Like you don't like what that person says, then, just don't say anything. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, right? But a lot of times the mean things that we want to say, they're actually a reflection of you. Like if someone is mean to you, it's a reflection of them. If someone says you're ugly, it's a reflection of that they look at that person looks at you and thinks they see ugliness. So they're the ones seeing ugliness. It doesn't mean that you're actually ugly. So it is actually a reflection of them. But what we've done is we say, don't say anything. So then people can't see you. You're clouded. You're clouded with this fake niceness. And then people don't get a chance to look at, well, why don't I find beauty in what I'm looking at? Because have you ever noticed, like for me, for instance, when I'm attracted to someone, like I have never been attracted to people just by their looks. I mean, there's people like I can like objectively look at them and think, oh, that person looks really good. Like there's things that look pleasant to my eyes, right? But it's not something that causes me to be attracted to anyone. Like in the sexual or romantic type of sense or anything like that. Like physical beauty doesn't do that necessarily, because what happens with me is that I see all these like flaws in people. And it's interesting. And so it stimulates my mind. And so that is what I will find beautiful, is like this uniqueness and this like, I don't know, just uniqueness and differences. Something I haven't seen before. It's intriguing. And that is beautiful to me. So if someone looks at you and thinks that you're ugly, it's like they have the inability to see the beauty in you. So it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them, their inability. And so, but what we do as a society is we sit there and teach people how to be instead of like letting them be and figuring out why they are the way they are, what they think, helping them find beauty. And instead we're teaching them to fake it. Like, no, be nice. Tell this person nice things. Like, instead of like getting to the root of the problem. Everyone's just a bunch of fucking liars. So anyway, so that's what I'm thinking about with this like fire rainbow up in the sky. Okay. And the Milky Way, sorry. Okay. I'm getting there. But anyway, okay. So this is so hilarious. Okay. So the reason why we couldn't see what the Milky Way was doing was because of all of this stardust around us. So we can't see what we're doing. We have no idea how we're being a fake ass. And it's because of our own bias. And the other thing about, hold on, where is it? Okay, hold on. So the cluster, I might have skipped a part, but there's a cluster that we are like moving towards, that the Milky Way is moving towards. Now, we can't see in the middle of it because the stardust is like so thick, and they call it the zone of avoidance. Like, how funny, right? Okay, so this is our shadow. Okay, we won't look at our shadow. We can't look at our shadow. We think, well, we can look at it. It's just really difficult. What I'm saying is that we avoid looking at our shadow, avoid looking at our own selves, our own egos, but that is actually where we want to look. Okay? Because the reason why it's like what we're looking for is there. It's also where what do they call them? They call them like they called them attractors, something about attractors, like some kind of attractor thing. It's like a cluster that is pulling us in. We're attracted to it, okay? Thank you everyone for being in here. Let's see. Wait a second. Where was I at? Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's called the Great Attractor. In the center of... Yep. Hold on just a second. So we're slowly drifting towards it, but it lies in the zone of avoidance. So the shadow is there, but also what we want is there. So... now, if you ever run into, so this can represent a lot of different things. So the shadow is there, but also we're afraid of it. So if you ever meet a person, you can do this with a person, or you can do this with anything you want. Like, has anyone ever wanted to be some kind of really like famous person, like on stage, or like you wish that you could do these certain feats, or maybe it's some person you're way attracted to them, but you're so afraid of like asking them out or trying different things like that, like putting in, just trying out. And the reason why you have these fears, right? You're so attracted to that because that is actually your potential. Usually if it's a person that you're like super attracted to, it's because they contain your potential. There's stuff in them that you can become, and also stuff in them like that will show you your shadow in some way. And the shadow is that part that you avoid. Okay, that part of yourself that you avoid. Let's see. Okay, so this was the next thing. They said that to see through into the zone of avoidance, you have to use these X-ray and infrared, what is it called? Infrared telescopes to do this. And I'm still trying to understand this. But the infrared telescopes, has something to do with like the root chakra. And like if you think of the infrared, it's like this red. The waves, they're slowed down. Okay, they're really deep. I also think of like even deep bass sounds. I don't know why I'm thinking about that, but I'm thinking about deep bass sounds. Okay, now this is going to talk about desire. That's where like desire, passion stirs up. Also like the beast, this is like the animalistic type energies, right? So what I'm thinking about too is that there was these red sprites that I did a video on where it was like anger and also passion, okay? And those come up from like the base, okay? It also the base also indicates security. So insecurities, okay? So your insecurities, where you're not secure, okay? So you're going to have that, like those animalistic base, something triggered so that your insecurities pop out. And that's where that animalistic part will come out. So like, for instance, if someone says something and it makes you very angry, you might react in like this animalistic anger. Okay. Now that animalistic anger is going to be, if you can observe that, then you will be able to see like your shadow. So this is what I'm saying is, if you can see your shadow, like look into it. Okay. Sorry, this is really hard to explain. Let me give an example. Okay, because this happened to me just the other day, a couple days ago. I got really mad, okay? And so I was still able to like observe myself when I got mad. Like I wanted to observe what was going on and how I felt. And what I realized was that someone had said, like they blamed me for something that happened to me. But what it made me realize was that I had this insecurity that I was a failure. I felt bad that I could not live up to what I felt I was responsible for. And even though the reason why was because of circumstances out of my control, I was telling myself that I was a failure, that I should be able to do these things, that I didn't and that I can't. And like I was insecure right there. And so that insecurity is why I got mad. Of course, and what I really wanted to do deep down on the inside was burst into tears, right? Because of that insecurity, but instead, like this animal came out in me and I started yelling at the person. And so, okay, I'm not sure where this is going yet. I'm just going with what I'm getting from this. So I'm saying is that insecurity right there is what you want to look at, okay? Because there's something about it doing something, blocking something. Okay, so if you can see there, okay. So what's going on is that is like kind of like a gaping hole in your base, like in the attractor, because that's where the density is, right? So you want it to have more density. So you need confidence there. You need security there. So you can find your insecurities, rip out that insecurity and fill it up with confidence. And that's going to give it more mass, more attraction. Oh, my eyelashes. I don't think it's falling off. No, it's not. They're just super long. I don't think they're. Yeah, no, they're less super long. They're stuck on there good. Okay. Okay, so now the other thing that they were talking about is is they found out that they're not only being attracted, right? So once there's this confidence, right? You have this confidence or whatever insecurity it is. So look at your insecurities, where you get triggered, wherever you get triggered. Look at that and like fill that up or like give that a solidity. There's a solidity that needs to be there. But then also they found that not only is this supercluster attracting the Milky Way to it, but they found out that there is actually something pushing the Milky Way to the supercluster. And they were like, well, what is that? And they found out that it's like a bubble, almost like a void. There's nothing really there. It's like this big gaping hole. And so, just like mass pulls things towards it, this gaping hole is pushing away from it. So, they were wondering what causes it to push. Okay, now there's a couple things too that I was getting from that. Hold on. So, hold on just a second. So I forgot where I was going with that, but one thing that I was saying is that like there's something about instead of doing things out of desperation, do them out of inspiration. But I don't remember how that tied to the bubble and the supercluster. But I'm going to show you something that, so if you take like, say you have, here's the supercluster and this is the bubble, okay? And the Milky Way is in the middle and it's going towards this. This is where you want to go, but you're not quite sure what's there until you like really look at it, right? And this is like your desires because this is the base, right? So, I'm just getting something about dimensions because they're not sure what causes the bubble, right? This bubble up here and then this. But if you think of like the universe as like if it were in like a square or something like that contained, and it was all just a bunch of information just in there, anything significant, just information in there, right? And it wouldn't be moving. It would just be sitting there. But if you were to like condense part of the information, then it would cause like a bubble to form. Or if you were to push a bubble out, it would cause it to be condensed in some area. Like, and the thing that I was thinking of, I don't know why I'm getting this image, so I don't quite understand it, but I'm thinking about other dimensions and how there's got to be something that ties to another dimension. I mean, like the fourth dimension, because if you think about it, you look at these and they look far apart, right? But if there was another dimension, it's like if you could turn in that other dimension, they could be right there on top of each other. And it's almost like it could be a portal. But I don't know where that's going yet. That's something that I can see in my mind. Because it seems like they're connected, almost like a torus, you know, the shape of a torus that looks like a donut, where one has the bubble, the other end has the cluster. That's what I'm seeing. And then the Milky Way would be moving, towards the cluster, but it's then like, what happens when it gets there? Does it pop out the other side? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that's like something I'm seeing. So, or like it goes somewhere. Oh, you know what? I just came to my mind. It's like we can't see it because behind the bubble, there's a cluster, because it's like, there's a dimension behind the bubble. And so I don't know where that's coming from, but, when I get more information about that, I'll get more information about that, but I'll present that. But, this also ties to the mind. So basically, when you want to be able to attract something, everything needs to be less solid than you see it. So your problems, you need to make them fuzzy, or like less solid. They need to not be as big of a deal as they may seem. You need to wonder. When you wonder, you open up for possibility. So it's like, by wondering and opening up for possibility, it's almost like you make space. And by making space, then something has to be condensed into the supercluster, which would be a physical thing, like a manifest into like a physical thing. That's what I'm seeing. So wonder, make space, things that are real, wonder what they mean, wonder what they are, rather than assuming that they're in that form and position. If you don't want them in that form and position anymore, wonder how it means something different, and make space for it so that something new can be created. Okay, so let me see here. All right, so that's as far as I got for that part of the live. Before I go any further, I want to know if I'm going to go ahead and just give a quick review on what exactly I'm doing here, because then I'll go on to the next thing. But for anyone that's new or doesn't know what I'm doing, basically I see everything around me is like a symbol of me. And so that would be for you too. It's what I just realized, that like all of this is information. Reality is made up in information. And basically there's more information than what I'm seeing, but my subconscious is filtering it all out and showing me things that are solid and such, which are not really even solid. So I can get information about my subconscious and what's in there by looking at the reality out there. And by me wondering what it means, more information comes to me. So anything that pops up on my phone, things that I see in reality, basically I can read everything, and I see like a whole story or picture, and I can see where I land in that story, in that picture. And so I can see like past, future, present, stories. And so it's a way of predicting the future. It's also a way of getting information. It's a way of understanding things in the past. It's a way of creating things in reality. So that's what I do. And I just do that. And I'm bringing you that information. And I make videos on my channel of the stuff that I see, and they come true. And I like to show you kind of how I do this so that you can do it too, because anyone can do it. And it's fun, but you do have to go through a lot of your fears. Got to be willing to do that, you know. But anyway. So, the next thing that I'll go to. Okay, this was just a quick one. And then I'll go to the next part, which was about Peter Pan. But just a few things that were leading up to this Peter Pan thing that I saw. So I don't even know what I got this off of. It just says gain souls or converts. It was a video or something clip that I saw. Oh, okay. It was talking about some Catholic people that went to Africa to convert some people. And they were talking about these African traditions and how they believed that there was like two souls in the body, and one could go to heaven and they could actually animate a dead body. So like make a zombie with like an unconscious soul. And so what I was thinking about with this basically is that like people on Earth, a lot of them are kind of like zombies. What I mean by that is people more and more, they're just taking the action, doing the action. They're taking all these actions and it's like empty of meaning, empty of purpose. They think they have to do all these things. It's like they're just zombies. That's what it is, a zombie. They look for satisfaction in other things. Like they are always trying to escape this life because there's no satisfaction in what they're their everyday life, because they're just zombified all the time. And but anyway, they're talking about raising the dead, talking about converts. And so what I'm thinking about here is about how to show people how to live again. Okay. And in a way that is conversion, but there's not any kind of religion or anything like that. It's just showing people how to live, rather than be unconscious and just doing the motions. So then the next thing I saw across my screen, it said a society of false masks, why everyone feels fake. And I was talking about that earlier, about how people just society expects you to be a certain way. Your parents tell you to be a certain way. Your teachers tell you to be a certain way. So then you have no idea who the fuck you are. You're inauthentic. You're just walking around lying because there's nothing authentic about you, besides maybe in your head. And, yeah, so there's definitely something about taking those masks off and being real and showing people how to be real. And I think the conversion is really just removing your mask. So Peter Pan popped up. Now, it's funny because, of course, I've seen Peter Pan when I was a kid. But it made me think, oh, yeah, I had that dream. And my dreams, they come true, but they are very symbolic. I don't dream often, but when I do, they're heavily symbolic. So, in this dream, I'll tell you a real quick version of it. But in this dream, I was like in a church building, like these church buildings. And I was like having sex with this guy, like all over in these rooms and hallways and stuff like that. And I remember it was pissing off, like all these church dudes were getting pissed that I was just like walking around this church and finding places to have sex with this dude. And anyway, so they wanted to capture us. And I just remember that I was swinging on these ropes, I was like swinging over this water and around this ship and through in these caves. And it reminded me of Peter Pan. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm Peter Pan. Like when he was, on Hook's ship and going through Never Never Land and stuff like that. That's what it reminded me of. And I remember they were trying to capture me. And then one time they did capture me and they had me like in a prison for a minute. And I was just like sitting there like this, like, I just like didn't care because I was like, oh, you can't capture me. Oh, you think you captured me? Well, yeah, you didn't. And like, I just was like, fine. And then I just left. I don't remember how I got out, but, anyway, And I remembered I was like the leader of like all of these like misfit type of people, and that's what reminded me. And I forgot that that was actually like the Lost Boys were in Peter Pan, and so I forgot about that part. But yeah, it was like these like rebellious people or something. I was like their leader or something. They were like, I was like in a sense, protecting them in a sense, or like standing up for them. That's what it was. But anyway, so Peter Pan popped up, and I really think what this is, because he's nonchalant. There's so much confidence in this energy. So what I am seeing is like just a ton of confidence. And like, I don't know if this is just going to start coming out, like this confidence. Because like I said, like I saw that confidence replacing some of those empty spots in the shadow where the shadow is afraid. And so, but it makes him fearless, and sometimes like comes off cocky, and puts himself in dangerous situations. Again, that's what I saw in my dream. Now, this was really interesting too, though, is Peter Pan could fly sometimes, but he couldn't at other times. And what he needed to fly was fairy dust, and he needed wonderful thoughts. Wonderful thoughts. And when he couldn't fly, when he thought that in the future Wendy would find another husband and he would lose Wendy. And so that's how Captain Hook what he would use against Peter Pan to knock him down. And so what this is telling me, and for me specifically even, is that when you get depressed or sad, and for me, it's usually because someone doesn't want me back or whatever, But I'm just saying, like, when you get into that mindset, and it doesn't matter what it's about, because it's going to be different for anyone, you lose the ability to fly. Now, I've had a ton of flying dreams my whole life, but flying is like, it's almost like going with the flow. So things will go really easily for you. Things will come to you. Things will happen that you needed. For instance, this is a good example. Okay. For me, when I am like falling in love, like when I am first in that stage of a relationship where it's really good, everything's amazing, like I'm like, oh, this is so amazing, like I feel like I'm falling in love, everything works out for me, like my money, like shit just happens, like it's magical. Okay, that is flying. Like that magic, like having that mindset and feeling like that makes you fly. It makes things go with the flow. There's no stagnation. There's not just a ball of reality where everything's just sitting there in one spot. You're able to fucking fly. Okay, so to me then, you know how like Superman has that, what is it called, where that thing, that stuff that makes him so that he can't have his powers? I forgot. And same with Peter Pan, when he gets depressed about not having Wendy in the future, it makes everything fucking start sucking or like falling apart. And so this is something that you're going to want to really be aware of about yourself. So what is it that causes you to feel stagnant and like the lull, or like nothing's ever going to work out the way I want it to? Because you need to find the other one, the other thing to really follow or stay up on, or like however you do it, like keep wondering, keep being in awe. If something falls away, it's like the other thing is to like let it go. Don't it's like not mourning over the past. Yeah. That's really what I feel like it is not mourning over the past. Because if you think about it, like everything is really connected. You never really lose anything. We think we do, but it's really a bunch of bullshit. We don't lose anything. It's all there. And if you can keep your focus on what is next, like how it's coming in next, and keep your mind in that awe and that curiosity, then you'll stay in the flow instead of stagnating in that depressive mourning state. I'm really talking to myself here too. Oh, there's something about being a skilled swordsman. Okay, he was a skilled swordsman. Now, the sword represents truth. The sword is truth and honesty. This is one of the biggest things that I'm seeing is taking off the mask. You also need to be honest with yourself. If you're honest with other people, you got to apply it to yourself. The sword is it's a double-edged sword. So if you say something to someone else, you got to see how that applies to you too. And that's how you become a skilled swordsman, is by being really honest about you and really honest about them. No more faking nice and faking like, yeah, I mean, I would totally give some examples if anyone wanted any, or if you had any. But like, if you know someone is filling you full of bullshit, you got to say something. Because if you're going to sit there and think they're full of shit and nod your head, you're full of shit too. You might have to think for a second how to craft your words so that you're not just, spewing out stuff that don't make sense. But I'm just saying, like, be honest. Oh, and then the other thing is that this might be significant too. Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell was like the fairy that protected Peter, but she was jealous. I don't know if this represents anybody. I'm not quite sure what that is. Fairy, I've gotten that symbol a lot, the fairies. And it's funny because the fairies came with protection too. And so like, I'm not sure how that is. But Tink, it's interesting because it was like Peter Pan's best friend. This could be a best friend. And also this friend is protective, but also jealous. In the end, the friend or Tink actually dies to save his life. But, yeah. So I'm not sure if that's going to represent like a person or if that's like something that saves your life. But what was I going to say? Oh, and then the other thing too. Okay. This is the last thing, but do you guys ever look at your astrological charts? Because, spiders, I had this thing of spiders. Okay. Spiders, actually, I didn't know this, but spiders don't have any heads. Their heads are part of their bodies. And so the first thing I thought of was the South Node or ketu. It's ketu in Vedic astrology, okay? Ketu has no head. Now, what this represents, wherever ketu is in your chart or the South Node, is what you do naturally. Now, this is more of a Vedic astrology theory. So I would look at your Vedic astrology chart if you want to know where your ketu is, because this is going to tell you what you are a natural at. This is going to tell you where they call it a daimon. It's spelt kind of like demon, but it's not demon, but it's a daimon. Okay. Now this is like where you can take over. It's almost like the daimon takes over you, and it operates like you can do it naturally. You can do it with your eyes closed. You can do it with no head. You can do it without having to think. This is your talent. And if you can tap into that, that's what it is. Oh my God, that's what all of this led to. I just realized this. Okay. Sorry. That's what this was leading to. Okay. Because if you can that's what the fucking thing is you're looking for. Okay. Because remember in the cluster, the star cluster it was where the shadow was. It's what you couldn't find, right? That's what you were looking for. That's where you're being led to, or you're being attracted to, right? But you have to look at yourself. That's where the K2 would be, because that's where your diamond would be, because that's where your shadow would be. And that is your talent. That's your talent. Natural. And it will shoot you to the top. Natural. Okay. So find your K2 in your Vedic astrology chart. Look at the house, the sign, and look at the nakshatra. I would especially look at the nakshatra. My K2 is in Shravana nakshatra. But look at your K2. And you can find that and find what your talent is. But anyway, that's all I have to say. Does anyone have any questions before I get off? And thank you everyone who showed up, because I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the likes and everything. And I will definitely make some more videos. But thank you guys. You guys have a good night.